friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be sharing with you all of the books I read in February of 2021. If you haven't watched my February TBR yet, I invite you to do so. I'll link it in the cards above. And that outlines the books that I wanted to read in February, and I am pleased to say that I did almost get all of those books done. So today I will share about all of those books and what I thought of them and give them a ranking out of 5 stars. My friend Ryan also asked me to give my top 3 books of the month, so I will try to do that as well. The first book I completed in February was The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. This is a memoir written by Jeanette, and it talks about her childhood. She grew up rather differently than I would say the rest of us, at least than I did. She is one of 4 children, and her father and mother kind of traveled from place to place and never really settled or had a home. They did a lot of sleeping outside, and they had a lot of adventure, I would say, in their lives. In the first part of the book, I really liked that sense of adventure. I thought these kids were learning not in school what you couldn't learn in school. They were learning from the world and from the nature around them, and from what their parents could teach them. But then once the family settles down in a small town in West Virginia, you really start to see some bad sides of their upbringing. Neither their mom nor their dad had a job, and they lived in this really rundown shack in the middle of the woods, and I just couldn't fathom how these parents thought that they were caring for their 4 children when they were letting them sleep under a hole in the roof with rain pouring down on them constantly, or no food on the table. They were scrounging in dumpsters trying to find food to eat. So this one made me upset at the mom and dad, especially at the end. And I guess the whole main point is that Jeanette does get out of this lifestyle. All 4 of her siblings do, actually. So that's great. But this book just kind of made me more angry than anything. So I did give this one 4 out of 5 stars just because Jeanette did a great job telling her story, and I always think that stories are valid to be told, and so I'm happy that I read it, and I'm glad that we discussed it in our book club. So again, that was The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. The next book I read, which was not on my February TBR, was The One and Only Ivan by Katherine Applegate. I found this one at the library. We take our son to the library every Saturday morning in our town, and this one I saw on the young adult middle grade shelf, and my sister had told me about it before. My friend who's in my book club locally in town has told me about it, and so I picked it up while we were at the library and got like 50 pages in, and I was sucked in. So I got it from the library and continued to read it. I think it took me 2 days, but it was really, really cute. So it is about this gorilla named Ivan, and how for the last 27 years he has lived in this mall, and this mall has a bunch of animals inside of it, and Ivan basically is deciding that he wants to get out of this mall, most importantly to save one of his friends that is stuck in this mall with him, and so it is all about his story in doing that. This one is super cute, super short, and I would definitely recommend that you give it a read. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars just because it was delightful, and it was a sweet little read, and I recommend that you pick this one up. The next book that I read in February was A Rule Against Murder by Louise Penny. This is the 4th in the Inspector Gamache series, the Chief Inspector Gamache series, and my book club ladies have recommended this series to me, and I probably pick up a book or 2 every year to read. It's my goal this year to read 3 of these Inspector Gamache books. So this one did not take place in the normal little town that it always has. It did not take place in Three Pines. This was kind of out at this resort. Armand Gamache and his wife are celebrating their anniversary, and it just so happens that a murder takes place, and he is trying to figure out what happened, who done it. Basically, it's him and this family reunion at this resort, and so he needs to figure out who killed this sister in the family, and it's likely one of the family members, but we don't know. You find out at the very end in a very suspenseful scene with someone dangling from the rooftop while it's raining. So very intriguing, very fun to read, a murder mystery, a cozy one, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. It was good. It was great. A Rule Against Murder by Louise Penny. Definitely recommend this series if you're looking for a long series. I think it's like on book 16 or 17 now. The next book I finished in February was Wonder by R.J. Palacio. I listened to this one and it was just delightful. It was about our friend August, and he was starting 5th grade in a school. He had been homeschooled for most of his life because he had undergone many surgeries. He was born with some malformities on his face, and so he had probably 1 or 2 surgeries every single year to try to look a little bit more normal. But his parents decided it was a good idea to start him in public school, and actually it was a private school, in 5th grade. His principal invites him in a few days beforehand and allows him to meet a few students ahead of time, and you follow August and these 3 students and the people who surround August's life, his sister, his parents, and how they all live with and cope with this different looking boy. It was really, really sweet, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I just saw recently that there's a sequel where we hear about August's story from 3 more perspectives, and I hope I can pick that one up soon. The next book I read in February was Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. True confession here, guys. I started this one back in November of 2020 and I couldn't get through it. It was a little bit too slow for me. But then my friends and I all decided to watch the new movie with Emma Watson, and I fell in love with these sisters, with the March sisters, and I decided I had to give the book a read. And so I came back to it and read it, and honestly, watching the movie beforehand made me appreciate the characters so much more and appreciate the story. So this one is about Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, the 4 March sisters, and their lives in Civil War America. And we watch them as they grow into young women, and how they deal with relationships, both romantic and just sisterly. It was a very beautiful look into this life for these 4 girls. I also listened to this one as I read, which I had never done before, and I really liked the narrator on it, and so it was nice to both see the words but also hear it and be able to picture it in my mind. So this one I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. It was great, and I'm sad that I didn't read it sooner and didn't appreciate it as much as I did sooner. So again, that was Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. The next book I read in February was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This one I'm sure you have heard about, but if you have not, I will tell you a little bit about it. It is about Adeline LaRue, and back in the 1700s, she makes a deal with the devil to live forever. She grew up with this woman as a mentor, and this woman taught her to pray to gods, was told to never pray to gods who answered in the dark. But what happened is she was growing older, and her parents said, you need to settle down, here's this man that you're going to marry, and she did not want to marry him. She did not want her life to stop in this small town that she grew up in France. And so she does pray to the gods, and it is sunset. And as it gets darker, she is spoken to by a god, and it happens to be the god of darkness, the devil, whatever you want to call him. She calls him Luke in the end. But she makes the deal with him that she's going to live forever, and he gets her soul once she decides she doesn't want to live anymore. But what he doesn't tell her is that he is going to make her forgotten by everybody she meets. And I'm not going to say much more because we watch her go through 300 years of life dealing with this curse that she is given by the darkness. You watch her try to be remembered by people, and it is just tragic, but then something great happens. She meets someone who remembers, and it is great. I don't think I'm giving that away because it says so in the sleeve. Yeah, it says so in the sleeve, so I'm not giving too much away. But we follow her life and this other guy's life that she meets, and it is really good. The only thing that has made me a little frustrated is the end. I felt like something different could have happened, and I was frustrated with how it did end up. I am reading this for my book club locally, and I'm really excited to have this discussion with my book club friends. So again, that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. The next and last book I completed in February was The Removed by Brandon Hobson. This was my book of the month pick for January, and I did enjoy this one. I forgot to say, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, I will give it a 5 stars if we're doing full star rankings, but honestly, because of the ending, I think I would give it like a 4.9. Really close to 5 stars, but I'm still just frustrated at the ending. So anyway, moving on. Okay, back to The Removed by Brandon Hobson. This one takes a look at a Cherokee family. At the very beginning, we find out that one of the sons in a Cherokee family was killed by a police officer, and then 10 years later, we follow the family. He has a mom and a dad and a brother and a sister, and we follow the family as they are living their lives. There are also little sparklets of Cherokee folklore in there, which I liked. I did like hearing those stories, but I just thought that they were kind of random, especially when the whole story is leading up to this event that the family is going to have to remember their brother/son, and that event doesn't really happen because one of the family members doesn't get there, and it was confusing throughout. The brother had this weird trip going on because he was a meth addict, and I don't know, it was entertaining, but I just didn't get the storyline of it. So I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars, and I'm gonna recommend it to people, but just with the caveat that it's a little goofy, a little fluid, if you will. So anyway, this is The Removed by Brandon Hobson. And if you've been paying attention and watched my February TBR, there is a book that is missing, and I got really close to finishing How to Be an Antiracist by Ibram X. Kendi. I am here in the book, and there's about like 100 pages at the end that is all notes and index. So if we're looking at the actual content of the book, I'm really close. I think I'm about like 60 pages left to go. This one is so informative and so wonderful, and everybody should pick it up if you are if you're wanting to learn how to help the Black community or any colored community. It's really great. It is hard to get through just because there's so much information, and I can't just like sit down and read a huge chunk at a time because I'm wanting to digest everything that is said in each chapter and how I can change my life to be more of an anti-racist in the multiple facets that he talks about. He doesn't just talk about race, but he talks about ethnicity and culture and sexuality and class, and talks about many of the different things that people can be oppressed for, many of the things that people can be judged for. So I have not finished this one in February, but I will finish it very soon into March, and highly recommend. It will be a 5 out of 5 stars for me, just because of how much it has made me look into how I can change things in my life and how our world needs to change, our country needs to change, to be an anti-racist society. So, give it a read. How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. And that is my stack. I read seven books. It was my goal to read 7. I read 7, but that's because the one and only Ivan snuck in there. I was really happy with my reading month. I think that I did a good job of completing my goal, but also reading books that made me happy and enjoyed. So I have to do the challenge that my friend Ryan suggested by giving my top 3. I'm not going to include How to Be an Anti-Racist, first because I haven't read it, and second because it's nonfiction, more of like a call to action than a book, novel kind of thing. So I'm not going to include that in my top 3. I think it will go like this. Ryan, this is for you. I'm dropping books left and right. Oh, I forgot about Wonder. So I don't have the actual Book of Wonder, but Wonder is in the 3rd spot. Little Women is in the 2nd spot. And The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is in the 1st. So these two with Wonder right here. I wonder if I can put it in. Those are my top 3 for the month of February. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you haven't already, like this video. It would mean a lot to me if you did. Put a comment down below if you have read any of these and if you agree with me or disagree with me on any of the ratings that I gave them. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell button next to it so that you can be notified when I put up another video. I try to post every Monday, so if you are looking for more of my content, you can do that. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!